Welcome to the Rational Growth Experience, where every week we talk about how concepts from personal growth and spirituality come together in our experience of our everyday lives.
Cool. Let's chill out for a sec.
Perfect timing. I think we literally opened our eyes at the exact same time.
All right. Well, welcome to episode 5, I believe.
Episode 6.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's
This is
episode
just
6.
coming along, man. At this point, I don't even know what episode we're on. We're just knocking this out and making sure we got that content for you guys every
Dude, we're
single
cruising.
Monday at 7 a.m. YouTube, Spotify,
Apple Podcasts,
yeah.
all of the podcast sites, pretty much. Wherever you want to hear us, we'll be probably there.
Nice. But yeah, man. So with this episode, I'm feeling a little bit of a drain this episode, truthfully. So I've just been feeling, I don't know, motivation is lacking. And I always think that motivation is bullshit, truthfully. I think that's a good topic that we can talk about. What is motivation and why is it bullshit?
Yeah, let's do it and talk about being in a slump a little bit.
Yeah,
that
no,
means.
definitely. Especially
Yeah.
now with everything that's going on with coronavirus, I think we're just in our head way too much. In that sometimes that overthinking or just not putting your mind to do any sort of activities kind of gets a little bit overwhelming at times, and if we're not putting our mind at ease or working it like by reading or whatever the case may be, I think that's sometimes when overthinking starts to come into play. I know for me, I always have just weird scenarios about stuff in the past, the future, and it sometimes just gets me in a little bit of a slump because I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, well, am I making the right decision on what I'm doing? And with just being in a slump is something that's very fascinating because this is why I just think motivation is bullshit, because at the end of the day, it's all about being committed. I think it's truly being committed and actually doing that uh, activities, whatever you need to do for the end goal. Because at the end of the day, if the motivation is lacking, then you're just getting in your own way at that point. That's just kind of my 2 cents with that, you know?
So what are you kind of experiencing? You just feel like what are you experiencing right now? What do you feel like? You say you're in the slump, but like what does that mean for you? You just feel kind of confused, or you feel tired, you just feel lack of direction, or like what are you kind of going through right now?
I think in some sense, this is just a new pathway for me that I'm just struggling with a little bit of lack of direction, like you said. That direction is something that I'm kind of paving my own, way. And I think that's just the biggest thing right now for me is that lack of direction on what I want to truly accomplish, and not to really get much into it, but that's just kind of one of those things that lack of direction, if you don't know what the clarity is in or what it's about, then that's where you start second guessing in some sense, but feel free to chime in, man. That's kind of where I'm at with everything right now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like I could totally speak to like being in a little bit of a slump. Like I feel like this weird times currently, and just a bunch of weird energy. And so I think like I've definitely had my fair share of days the past couple weeks where I just feel like doing nothing. Literally just feel like doing nothing. I just don't want to do
Right.
anything. I just want to lay around, do whatever, do not like I don't feel like pushing towards anything. I just feel like just taking a moment to just freaking for like multiple days. And
Yeah.
so I've definitely had the past couple of days like that. And so for me, I think, and I've probably heard the best piece of advice on this today, actually, because it's like when you're in it, you don't really know. You're kind of like, fuck, I'm aware of it. I know what's going on. I can feel this. I don't want to be here. So you like maybe you're, or like for me, I'll start like being like, where is this coming from? Blah, blah, blah. And I'll kind of start like overthinking it and trying to like really dice it up. And sometimes that works. And there's a lot of lessons that can be learned in that. And sometimes I think it's just a natural like ebb and flow that we go through. And I think especially given the current scenario, it's one of those ebbs and flows. And for me, I think the best piece of I heard today was actually from Gary Vee about it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was actually on this very topic, because I'm very much a big proponent recently on like letting that be. Like if that's what you're feeling, just let that be, ride it out. No need to change it. Like it's perfectly okay to be experiencing that and just let it be. It's like, would you rather you ride it out and get it out of the way here in the next like couple days or weeks or however long it takes? It's like you got the rest of your life to change that and turn it around. The repercussions, so say, of not being lazy or not being whatever. And so to me, that like just letting it be was probably my biggest takeaway from kind of sitting with all of this recently. I'm like, just let it be. I was like, I can sit here and beat myself up about how I'm not in like a high vibe state, or I'm not loved, or not feeling good, or I'm not feeling whatever it is I'm feeling. But it's like, I'm just kind of making it worse. I was like, this is probably just a natural flow of things, just a natural progression that we're all kind of experiencing. Or maybe if we're not all experiencing it, it's something I'm experiencing, and then that's okay. And I've just kind of been letting it be there, and like let myself, just like indulge in some freaking video games, or not like just laying and taking naps in the middle of the day, and like let that be. And I think when I heard today Gary Vee talking about just like you have the rest of your life to fix the repercussions of that, like say it takes a couple days or weeks, he's like, would you rather it be now when you probably have time to afford for these things to happen, or later when you're in the middle of like growing a company or whatever it is, and you're just feeling super unmotivated and you have more obligations, which some people, do have obligations right now, but it's like, it's still, put it into perspective. You're not dying tomorrow. You don't need to get everything taken care of today. It's like, cut yourself a break. It's like we have enough going on. We have enough responsibilities. We have enough friends and people and jobs and all that stuff that we have to respond to and be there. And it's overwhelming. It's just overwhelming. It's like, cut yourself a break. You don't need the mental, like um your mental guy beating you up. It's like, you got to get through it either way. No matter what you do, you still
Yeah.
got to get through it. So it's like, put it into perspective. You got the rest of your life to fix. Like say you take 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks or fucking 6 weeks to just do nothing. Or, and when I say do nothing, I mean like, like do the bare minimum of what you need to do. Like, let that be
Mm-hmm.
there. Let that not motivation be there. Like that shit's okay. Like we all go through these flows of like not feeling motivated. Like definitely for me right now, really been struggling making myself sit down to do this e-commerce business I've started. I have all the tools. I've started mapping it out in my head. I know what I need to do, but I'm just like, I'm just not ready to jump into it yet. I just don't feel it. I don't feel motivated to do it. And I do still beat myself up every day of like, shit, like I should go and probably do this. Or like even today, like I just worked really long days, physically exhausted, and I woke up, I was like, I should probably go do some product research and get some better stats for when I launch my store. And I was like, I was like, just take a break. I was like this is okay. I was like, it's gonna be okay tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day. I could probably be feeling differently and tackle it again. I was like, I have a feeling this month is gonna be super productive for me anyways. I was like, one day isn't gonna kill me. And even if it's a couple weeks, it's not gonna kill you. It's like, I think we put all this pressure on who we think we need to be, and that's just frankly, who you think you need to be is bullshit. And it's like, you don't need to be anyone. You just need to be you. It's like, why do you
Yeah.
do what you need to do in the first place? It's like, we're all doing these things just to make us feel happy or feel secure or feel loved or whatever. And it's like, we don't need to do any of that. It's like, probably a lot of the motive, at least for me, I noticed when I felt like I needed to do certain things, it was externally motivated. And by that, I mean, it was for other people. It wasn't for me. It was always for like, oh, so my parents thought more highly of me, or oh, my friends thought I was really cool, or oh, I could get more social status, or oh, whatever. And then after a while, I think I just came face to face with that, and I was like, what is this? Why do I really need this? I was like, do I really need this? I started looking at it, and I was like, I don't. And that was the answer I came to. I was like, I really don't. And I was like, and that hurt, because that kind of attacked this idea of who I thought it was for years, and what I've been working so hard for. And so hitting that place, I was like, oh, now what? And that's where these like bigger questions come in. How do you get out of slumps of motivation or like non-motivation and et cetera, et
Right.
cetera. But it's like, moral of the story, it's like, this is just a natural flow and progression, especially in a weird time that we're all in. Like we're literally being forced to pause and just reflect. This is one of those times. I mean, literally what you're talking to me about right before this, like you're just reflecting. You're like, I just have all these decisions I need to make. I'm not sure. All these options. And it's like you just needed a moment to just reflect on it and just be like, breathe and say, okay, what do I need? What do I feel like will do me like the best? Like, what do I need? And then it's like,
That's a really good point, dude. And sorry to cut you off, but that's a really good point. Just because I feel that we set ourselves to such a high expectation, and like you said, these are external factors that play into that expectation of what we're supposed to be. For me, that's that hit home with me. You know, like, yeah, no, you're not. I think I get the influence because I have the support there. Like the support is there, you know, like nothing is lacking. I have this new brokerage that joined. They're nothing but great. They help me out throughout everything. I have an awesome set of friends that I have, my family. Everything is going great externally. Me right now, and this is where meditation has been lacking because I know that this, if I start doing it again, I'm gonna notice that shift in mind at the start of day because I'm just setting myself into this such a high expectation of getting the productivity done throughout the day, and I still do some of it, but I'm not as productive or efficient as I should be. And I think this is just where the analysis paralysis kind of comes into play for me, and I'm just super like, okay, I got to get this done. Oh, wait, and I just
mhm.
am in that, I guess, in some sense of a panic mode where my mind is not at ease, and it's just that's where I'm kind of at right now, and um, you know,
Well, and jumping in here a little bit, like going back to what you said at the very beginning, like you're talking about how motivation is BS and you just think it's commitment. And I think
mm,
going to touching on what you just said is it's less of productivity and more of efficiency because it's like you can be
yeah,
super productive day in and day out, but it's like there's some days where you're just not productive at all. And I think that goes along with the whole motivation thing. But it's like if you're efficiency implies like regular like movements like in an
right,
efficient manner. And so it's like I'd rather be more efficient over year rather than like productive for 2 weeks. And it's like, what do those
mm-hmm,
two things even mean, you know? But it's like, to me, it makes the most sense efficiency wise. Like, what is sustainable for me to do to be able to step closer, even if it's fucking baby steps every day to get towards my goal? What is that? Like, what can I reasonably put myself towards every day that will help me get there? And so it's like for me, I know recently I've been lacking on meditation, dude. I haven't meditated in probably 2 or 3 weeks, and I do like a form of it, but not where I sit down and dedicate 40 minutes to 60 minutes for it. And so I was noticing that, like, I took my times, like I've talked about plenty of times on here, taking a pause in the moment, and literally recorded a video about it every day, the other day, and posted it on Instagram about how I was in the middle of like a stressful thing, trying to contact like support of this website and blah 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 blah. And it was just a big pain. But then I paused and I was like, hold on. I was like, this is just a minor inconvenience. Like everything's okay. I was like, no need to get myself worked up about it. And then I just took a pause and I felt good. And so it's like I still take those pauses, but I was beating myself up that I wasn't meditating because I was like, I just was meditating for the past like 2 years, almost every day, dude. Like didn't miss it. Same, it was like when I was in my fitness kick. Like I didn't miss it. There was no missing it. And now I was like, shit, I missed it. I'm not meditating, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, just relax. I was like, it's okay. That's what I told myself. I was like, I think maybe that's what we should call this episode. It's okay. Like, whatever you're
yeah,
going through, it's okay. But yeah. So taking those, I finally sat down and meditated last night because I think it was something I knew. Tailing off the last episode, I knew, like, my intuition just kind of knew, like, hey, you need to give yourself some set time to just put everything else aside and kind of connect to something greater, feel something greater, and that will help you solve whatever you're going through. And so I did that last night. So I did my normal routine and everything. I cut off the video games a little bit earlier tonight or last night, and then I, sat down and meditated for 45 minutes. And I I just remember like I just like definitely like tuned in, felt like really good, and like it was almost like I came out of like maybe for some of you that have done yoga or like have run, when you get like a runner's high and you're just like so in the zone, you're kind of like, woo, like that was really great. Or like you come out of a yoga class and you're like super zen and you're just like kind of at peace with everything. It's totally how I came out of my meditation. And it put a ton of things into perspective for me. Like it just made me realize I was like, similar to you, I've been having this like beating myself up. I was like, I could be doing more. I got more time in my day, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why do I need to do this? And I was like, I really don't need to do that. I was like, I really don't. And I was like, I'm just putting this pressure on me. I don't need this pressure to be there. I was like, I want to do these things, but I'm going to ruin it for me by saying I need to do this like right now, like yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And so that it just kind of put it into perspective. I was like, it's okay. I was like, if this happens for a couple, like 2-3 weeks, I was like, it's okay. I can come out of it. There's the rest of my life to fix whatever negative repercussions that I think will come from it. And I'm sure I'll learn something that I wouldn't have if I didn't go through this. And so that was just like the biggest like like deep like fucking sigh of relief to me, I think, for whatever reason. Because I don't know, I think maybe it's just the environment you and I grew up in, just being like the go 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 go, like you're not achieving, you're not good, you're only as good as your production level and all this jazz. And it's like that's an outdated way of thinking. And it's like just reminding myself of that, because it's like there's still very much a lot of that of and just like our society of that sort of thing. But it's like you don't need any of that. It's like, what if you like, I don't know, I was just thinking about it today. I was like, do I really need to make millions of dollars and have like millions of followers to be happy? I was like, no. I was like, I could probably be making $30,000 a year talking to 10 people on here and be amazingly happy. And that's okay. And I think it's just like letting myself off the hook, like getting out of my own bullshit. Like I don't need to do all this crazy stuff. It's like that stuff will come and I can still want to do those things and have that impact, but it's like I'm just gonna kill myself. Like I'm gonna beat myself up if I keep trying to like tell myself I need it yesterday and I'm not good if I don't have any of that. It's like no, reverse it. It's like you're perfectly good as you are now. It's like look at all the people that have like millions of followers and make like tons of money. Like they realize they're the shit right now. Like they're perfectly good where they're at. They want those things maybe, and then so they just start feeling that, and then the other stuff comes. Like Gary Vee has been talking a lot about that recently, which I've been very thankful for, because I was kind of turned off to his stuff for a while because I just felt I got like the whole hustle, hustle, hustle. You're only good as how much you hustle. And there's something to be said about that. Yeah, sure, maybe in a business productivity, whatever. But it's like, I think the narrative now should be happiness. What makes you happy? What makes you come alive? Like, what is that? Focus on that. Fuck trying to reach all these expectations and meet all these expectations of outside influences or maybe inside influences of what you think you should be doing. So it's all bullshit. It's just like change the way you're tackling it. Flip to like what'll make you happy today. Would spending a couple hours painting or playing video games or whatever help you feel better and live a more sustained, again, efficient lifestyle, like incorporating these things into your life and make you feel more balanced to continue pushing towards the other things. Because I feel like we all kind of have that like driving factor of things inside of us that we want to achieve. And that's a topic for another time of like what is that and where that comes from and what drives that. But I think for me the narrative has flipped a lot. It's like what can I do? Like what is say I have all those things, like let's take a walk down that road for a minute. It's like, let's say we make the millions and millions of dollars, and we have the millions of followers, and we're being influenced, and like we're this huge influencer, the thing we've always wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
What would that lifestyle be like?
Well, I think there's a couple arguments to kind of like go with that. If what would that lifestyle be? Just because I'm just thinking right now, okay, well, if I did have $1 million, I would be able to do practically anything that I would want. I'd be able to provide to my family, friends, however that may look like. But I see what you're saying. There comes to a point where we have to just kind of reflect and audit what we're currently kind of accomplishing. And that's just kind of like some of that clarity that I'm still kind of looking for. And with getting $1 million, so let's just say getting $1 million, you would create happiness in some sense, because literally you'd be able to do anything that you want. You wouldn't have to be worrying about, oh, can I actually afford that? Can I get that? You just be going balls to the wall and getting anything you want. And there's just so much freedom, I think, is what that having $1 million comes with. That freedom, that sense of freedom, that you can do anything, that you can go to Puerto Rico, whatever the case may be. You just have that available, readily available.
I mean, that's one form of freedom. Like, I'm going to counter
Right.
this and say, like, financial freedom's one aspect of it. It's like, could you not go and do those things right now? It's like, could you not, like, go buy a bus ticket for like $20 or shit? You could fucking walk. If you didn't even have the money for that, you could walk. And it's like, it's all in your head, It's like, you don't,
Mm-hmm.
like, do we really all need to have $1 million to do the things and feel free? No,
No, no.
we really don't. We really
Mm-mm.
don't. It's just a mindset shift. So it's like going back to the meditation, like, let's lay out the science here for the people that don't know what I'm talking about, that I'm going to dive into, is like, what, like, basically our frame of reference, where we're coming from with all this. Frame of
Mm-hmm.
reference is hardwire thoughts and patterns of, if I think this, I feel this at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think that you need $1 million to be free, you probably feel lack right now because you don't have the $1 million.
Right.
So what does meditation do? So, or like, let's back
Rewire
that
that.
up. Yeah, it rewires that, but let's back that up. This habit is formed over time, or this like hardwired like connection in our brain is formed over time. So
Yeah.
it's like we continually reinforce this by experiences of like, oh, um, this deal didn't close in real estate, so I don't have money, so I'm still not free. I'm still limited because now I can't provide to the people I want to provide to in the way I want to provide. And it's like, and this is a really extreme opposite end of the spectrum, but it's like you don't need to do all those things. That's for another topic. But like you can totally do those things, and there's gonna be a lot of people like, wait, hold on, but regardless, we'll talk about that another time.
Right.
And so this is just these things, you experiencing these things over and over and over again, and you create this hardwire like idea of who you are, what equals what, all of this. And it's like meditation is a chance to remove the physical, because we rely on our senses like sight, sound, smell, taste, etc., and to give information to our body, like to hardwire that information so that we can just react when things come up. It's like, if you think about it, we're very survivalistic by nature. Our body is
Mm-hmm.
built for us to survive. But there's all these things, like we're not being attacked by lions and tigers and bears anymore. Like that stuff isn't here. But we create these mental attacks on ourselves. We create these images of who we think we need to be based on societal standards, or mainly societal standards, because it's survivalistically not fitting in is linked to non-survival. So
Mm-hmm.
if we don't fit that mold, we think we're an outcast, we think we're separate, we think we lack something, when it's like we have all that as we need. So what's the problem here? The idea that we think we need to be that way. So how do you do that? How do you change that idea? First, become aware of it. One, we've talked about that. Using awareness is the first step. You got to become aware of like how you're reacting to things, why you're reacting to things, because if you don't know the how and the why, then you probably won't want to change, and or you'll start taking steps towards changing, and nothing will happen, because you'll just fall back into the same pattern, because it doesn't make sense to you, something doesn't add up. So meditation, we sit down. It's a chance for you to remove the external stimuli, remove all the bullshit around you, close your eyes, cut off all your senses, throw on some headsets so you can listen to like trance, like put music, put yourself in a state of calm, protectiveness. You're not being attacked. There's no more mental judgments. You're just there with you and yourself. You sit down, you become aware of all this stuff, and you put yourself in a different state. It sounds weird, but it's like you can sit and feel happy for no reason. You could even use visualization to help you. So
Yeah.
it's like sometimes a lot of people will teach you, like, oh, close your eyes, imagine you're sitting on a beach. You can feel the breeze on your um, light breeze across your skin and the warm sun beating down, and you hear the waves crashing onto the shore, that's just a form of visualization.
Yeah.
The step further of visualization is feeling. What does that all feel like? You probably feel at peace, probably feel super free, probably feel really calm. You just kind of feel very present. What happens when you do that? Thoughts help you think and all that, but it's like feelings. What are feelings? Feelings and emotions are chemicals. So it's like when you feel negative, like cortisol level rises, adrenaline comes out, fight or flight response, all of the good stuff there. But it's like when you feel good, you got oxytocin. Is it oxytocin? It's one of the
Mm-hmm.
other feel good chemicals running through you.
Dopamine.
Dopamine, all that. So emotions equals chemicals. So if in meditation you sit down and you think good, you like visualize the beach, you visualize the future event you want to happen, you visualize that partner you've always wanted, you feel the love, you feel like just the freedom, you feel the wholeness, you're creating a new neural pathway. And for those of you that haven't studied much about that, if you ever look at a brain scan, you can actually see, you can actually get rid of old neural pathways. It's called neuroplasticity in the brain. It's your brain's ability to change itself. And all that means is imagine like a spider web. This is the easiest way to imagine it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bunch of different dots in the spider web, and they're all connected. All these different dots in the spider web are communicating with one another. The pathways that are used most often, say like from the top part of the spider web from left to right, is super bright. It's like a really bright beam. That's exactly what your brain neural networks look like. It's like an energetic pathway. And so that top one is the negative one. And then let's say you're starting to meditate, so you go to the bottom one. You're going to this new one you're creating on the bottom. It's way dim, super dim. However, you keep going down that pathway. And this is where our brain doesn't help us here. We're made for survival. So we go down the path of least resistance, the one that's most light up. We're probably just going to react out of that one because it's the easier one. Quickest way to react, quickest way to survival, you know? And so in meditation, take all that stuff away. We create this new pathway. We're practicing. We're putting ourselves in a new state of being. We're feeling a new set of wholeness. We're feeling this new set of love. And now we're starting to put a lot of like that pathway is lighting up a shit ton, that bottom pathway. And you're starting to use that pathway more than the top one. And after a while, the saying goes, neurons that fire together wire together. That's the bottom one. So now you're responding out of love, wholeness, happiness. And the ones that aren't firing together no longer are needed. It goes away. It's just part of your, and you can see this on a brain connection. You can literally see the connection just apart, and it's no longer needed. So how does this all apply? So this is a perfect example. We're talking about stress and being in a chaotic environment and a little unmotivated and all that jazz. And we're coming up against our set of limiting beliefs here, you know, of shit, like I have all these decisions, I need to keep doing these things, I need to keep pushing. And there's a time and place for that. Maybe it is now, who knows? These are just questions to ask yourself. But if you don't give yourself the space to at least reflect on that from an objective perspective, you're just going to continue the pattern of negativity and chaos and I don't know and whatever. And it's like, give yourself the chance, you know. It's like maybe you don't know, and that's perfectly fine if you don't know. But it's like, take that time, take the 30 minutes. Like sometimes I will just drive to this little lake nearby, sit there for 30 minutes, not really. I would put my phone to the side. I'm just sitting there, just kind of in complete silence, kind of just zoning out. And just by being there, like I think being in that setting, what that does for me is it brings me to the present moment. It reminds me that I'm not so caught up in the details of whatever the problem is that that has been confusing me or whatever. Same with meditation. It gives me that time to just pull myself like fully present. Like I can't focus on anything but being here and feeling good. And when I do that, then I'm able to come out of it, have the lingering effects, and reassess, be like, okay, how am I addressing this situation? Am I coming from this crazy, I don't know state? I'm very stressed. You know, or am I, now that I'm in this, like, okay, like in the state of, I feel good, I'm okay. All right, now what do I need? Okay, I see that I'm coming at it from this. This isn't helping. There's probably some validity to what I'm feeling, which is okay. But what I need to do is give myself a little bit of break, or I feel like I need this. Because it's like I've noticed that when I give myself that space, when I take those pauses for a couple minutes or a few seconds, even in some cases, it gives me enough space to just reassess, just be like, okay, and then see both sides and be like, okay, I need this. I know I'm working towards this, but I know I need this currently because this will help me get closer to this over here on the right. If I keep going over here, if I try to push myself harder, it's not going to help. And I just know that. And it's like, probably wouldn't have been able to notice that if I'm still just caught up over here in the left, you know? So I kind of bringing that full circle, all this is doing is just allowing us to reassess the, like, where are we coming at it from?
Yeah.
Like, and this is just similar to the analogy used level 4, level 5, level 6, level 10 Eric experiencing level 10 themes. Like, just
Exactly.
like, where is it coming from? Is it coming from like old level 4 Eric that thinks he needs to be level 12 right now? Or is it level 10 Eric that understands that, oh shit, this is part of the process. I'm really close to level 12 now. I know I need this to get to level 11, not to jump 2 levels though. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And no, I definitely agree with that, especially so here's a kind of a more practical way, like because I love what you were just talking about. It's brilliant on how you explained it. I feel that something that is helping me because right now I'm like in a weird mood per se, you know. And once I work out, here's a practical way that I think might help people is a practical way just starting to work out afterwards, like he was saying, dopamine, the oxytocin, everything's going to start flowing. And at that point is a good time to actually start meditating because that's, from what I've heard, is the best time to be able to meditate. It's more effective per se. But yeah, no, that's just kind of a more practical way, like because you're actually going to be able to what he's saying is to realign what those neuroplasticities, how he was explaining it, and create this new experience or go-to frame of reference. And it's one of those things like, yeah, no, like how you're explaining it is putting it in perspective in a couple of things for me is I need to reassess myself on how I am right now in present moment and really just understand that everything is going fine for me. Like there's no reason for me to feel like this. And I think this is going back to like you're just creating this imagination world and creating this just negative effect that's not supposed to be there. But that's kind of going a little off topic from what you were talking about. But I think that's just what kind of came to mind when you were talking about it, you know?
Well, and like, does that, I guess what I want to ask you, and because this is probably a good chance for it,
Yeah.
but it's like, does this help? Like, are you feeling like, because I feel like I felt you teeter back and forth of like, okay, I got perspective, I feel good, but then you're like, but I also feel this still, blah, blah, blah. I think you said it perfectly. Like, what do you need right now? Because it's like, do that. It's like
Yeah.
if you need a fucking 2-day vacation or like 2-day whatever, or like 1 day or an hour or whatever it is you need to like calm yourself down, to then it's like, you know, like when people have like emotional, like, or they lose someone, or for
Right.
example, my grandma's like my grandma, so my grandma isn't married. She has a cat and a horse. The horse actually just died.
Oh,
The
wow.
horse got sick on Sunday out of the blue, and we put him down on Monday. Grandma's devastated, you know.
Yeah.
It's like all she spends she's retired, so she goes and sees that horse every day. She loves that horse more than anything I know. She does. And so it's like once you let you know, there's a mourning period. You gotta, like, something like that, you mourn. You
Right.
mourn the loss, you feel bad or whatever, and you let it go. But then after you kind of come out of it and you're like, okay, like I'm ready to accept this is what happened. Sucks, but I'm not gonna live my life out of that.
Yeah.
That's like, what do I want to do now? You know, it's like,
New
so I
chapter.
guess what I'm saying is whatever you're experiencing currently, it's perfectly okay. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's perfectly fine that this is just part of level 10 Eric's going to level 11 Eric. There's something to be learned here, you know. And I think that's the biggest differentiator but of and practical application is not beating yourself up that like, and this is where I don't know yet because I'm not there yet, but I like living in the place we do and the life we've created so far, there's going to be ebbs and flows. There's going to be ups and downs. There's like, it's the whole like heaven, hell, there's no good without the bad, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not saying you need to go through the worst ever to experience the greatest ever, but this is part of the process of like your own process. This is your own process. There's something here that you need to learn, and it's happening for a reason. And even though it might suck right now, imagine in 2 months, like I bet even a month from now, this is gonna be resolved. You're gonna be like, dang, I was stressing out about that for no reason. It's like, what if I told you it was all gonna work out in a month? What would you do right now? You'd probably go,
Yeah.
oh my God, thank you. Like that's what a sigh of relief, you know? And it's like let's do practical application. Let's do an application process of everything we just talked about. Meditate. Let's take the meditation. Oh, okay. What am I doing in my meditation? I'm reminding myself, okay, month from now, 2 months from now, even if we're just using hypotheticals here, but it's like, let's just say it works out. I just know it's going to work out. If you knew it was going to work out, how would you react today? Probably wouldn't be stressing. You'd probably have a big sigh of relief.
You'd be excited, the emotions would just be diminished at that point. And yeah, no, you nailed it on the head, man. Like I think at this point I'm going to challenge myself and meditate up to the next episode and see where I'm at and kind of revisit this. I'm going to leave this little Easter egg and see how I improved. I think that's going to set myself with that sense of accountability and because there's really no reason why we should be, well, at least for me, I should be stressing out, like everything is fucking perfect. And damn, dude, like my condolences to your grandma. That's terrible. I feel for that, man. I feel for that.
Wrecked. She was.
Yeah.
I went and saw her yesterday. And I saw the horse on Sunday. I went out it was like 11 o'clock at night, but she was wrecked, dude. She just. Yeah. I feel so bad for her. Right. Oh, I can't. I know I'm laughing. It's not even funny, but it's just like. I just like feel. I'm just like, oh, like that sucks. I just know that sucks. And
yeah.
I don't. Yeah. But
like that's yeah, man. I think this was a very good episode on how you talked about like just that everything is okay.
Like shit. Like it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been something I've been having to tell myself a lot too. It's not me just telling you. This is me reminding myself mainly. Like reminding myself like shit, like it's okay. Like even like it's not like exactly what I thought it would be, but it's like let's look at like everything. Let's literally put it into perspective. It's like everything's okay. Like it's totally fine. This is, even if I don't like what's happening, it's part of the process, and it doesn't mean I can't change it later. Like let's just let this be. Like remove the stress from my shoulders, take away the little dude let's flick him off my shoulder, a guy that's talking negatively in my ear, tell me that's not. It's totally fine. There's no need. And now this is where, and we'll probably end the episode here pretty soon, but it's like there's gonna be a lot of people that are like, oh, blah blah blah. What about just like the whole like hustle, do more kind of thing, or like the whole like, well, if it's okay, then that means I don't need to do anything. And it's like those are extreme ends of what I'm saying,
Yeah, it'll be perceived like, multiple ways.
It's like, and that's all it is the perception of it all. Yeah, and so we'll talk about that another time because that's something I'm super passionate about is perception, because I've learned a lot about that over the past couple of years, and especially with like personal growth stuff and how like communicating a message, how it's perceived a certain way. And so
from an objective way instead of a subjective way.
Yeah. And what that means and how to, I guess, teeter that line and how that applies to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the more important part, how to apply it. So
that's very perfect. See, I can't even talk right now. That's very fucking perfect.
Take a deep breath, man. It seems like you need some sleep.
I need some fucking sleep at this point. Anyways, thank you for listening to this podcast. It was a good episode, more on the depressing side that I didn't want it to be, but it's okay because we don't know where the fuck this is going. And I love it. And I love the journey. I love the process. And I love where everything is going in life. So you will see me in the next episode. I'm challenging myself to that meditation. And on that note, anything else you got to add,
Do it
Dylan?
with you. No,
Yeah.
I'll do
All right.
I'll do it with you, and I'm excited to check in, and I'm sure because this is real, you know, like this is the real
This is,
stuff. Like
yeah.
this isn't like me just like, oh yeah, growth is great. Oh my god, yeah. It's like no, this is like the real
Emotions
shit.
are
Like this
fucking
is
real,
hard.
dude.
Emotions are flowing. Like I feel super motivated. All that. Like this is like the application portion of it all. So
Oh,
yeah, I'm
and
excited. I'm excited to check in next week.
and I just started thinking it because I think that the last episode was when everything was when I was super fucking happy and we were talking about that. Yeah, like in a week, I don't know where the fuck I'm gonna be. Perfect fucking example right here. So,
This is a perfect example.
well, on that note, we will see you guys next week, and I will be in a better mood.
Have a great week.